You know, poetry for me has always been a way to escape a writing period. It was therapeutic for me. I was providing therapy to myself and didn't even know it. It, and so, you know, I started writing poetry, sharing it with my fellow prisoners. They in turn liked the poem so much that they began to pay me to write their girlfriends and their wives' poetry. And if you can get a prisoner to pay you to do anything, it really shows you have a gift, because prisoners are the toughest critics in the world. They're tougher than Simon Cowell. They're tougher than Sandman on Apollo. And it really fed my inner soul to be recognized for something that I had created. You know, it felt good that the universe had chose me with, to bless with this special gift. Writing just became, you know, something I did to not go insane, to keep from going crazy, because growing up in solitary confinement, being incarcerated and locked in a cell 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, will weigh on you. And it's not like they just put me there and left me there. They tortured me. They abused me. But no matter what, I always had my pen. My pen became my closest friend. Well, here's a poem I wrote. The first poem I'm going to share is Genie in the Bottle, and it's about growing up in solitary confinement. It's one of the first poems I wrote and shared with my fellow prisoners, and they were so moved and touched by it that they would kick and scream and clap and let me know how much they felt it. It says, I'm the genie in the bottle the world has forgot. They put me in this abyss and closed up the top. I was a little boy when they did what they did, but time continued to tick, and I'm no longer a kid. My mother is dead, and so is my father. I've been abandoned by family while trapped in this bottle. But I hold on to hope that someone will open the top, answer my prayers, and help me out. Sometimes people pick up the bottle and put that eye to the hole, but instead of compassion, indifferent and cold, suffer sensory deprivation, a lost sense of direction. There's no mirror in this bottle for me to see my reflection. They say being lonely and alone are two different definitions, but it's only me in this bottle, so I fit both descriptions. What I need is a friend, someone to extend a hand. It could be as simple as picking up a pen, someone who cares, accepts me for who I am, my magnetic personality, and my baggage from the past. Someone who helps heal the sorrow, will work on building our tomorrows. Someone who refuses to leave me to die in this bottle. Thank you. This poem is actually the title of my book. It's called My Time Will Come. And I wrote this poem at a time in my life that things was looking very bleak for me. My life sentence had been overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court, and I went back to Tampa to be resentenced. And I thought I was going home. This was in 2010, 2011. I should have went home then, but I got back and the judge said something in his chamber before he went in his chambers to deliberate that let me know I wasn't going home. He said, in 1990, when your crime happened, Mr. Manuel, the legislative intent was to punish, not rehabilitate. I knew right then I wasn't going home that day. And the judge came back out of his chambers and sentenced me to 65 years in place of the life sentences that the U.S. Supreme Court had nullified. I went back to prison and I found myself in a cell with a pen and a piece of paper. And I wrote this poem. It's a prophetic poem. It's about the vision I saw for myself despite my current circumstances, and I'll share it with you now. It says, promise you, the brunt of my oppression has a purpose. And the same person that you persecute will one day be worshiped. Though I stand before you bare-chested and shirtless, with my soul and emotions naked, just wanting to be nurtured. Yeah, despite the desperation, desertion, and hurting, my time gonna come. Though I compose this poem not knowing if I'll ever be able to perform it in an auditorium. Do it with the faith of a poet who believes he was born to do it, like an acorn caught up in a storm, flung from the branch where it was born. You can only hold me back for so long. My time gonna come. Despite difficulties and disappointments, my determination remains undaunted. Though the waters of my tomorrows are deep and uncharted, the buoyance of my character will float unwavering towards them, like a song written yet unrecorded. My time gonna come. Though you wrap me in chains and sprayed me with chemical flames and did all of the things you did to add to my pain, my circumstances will change. I believe this with the depths of my being, that as long as this world continues to spin, it cannot end until it's been enjoyed by Ian. Remember this day, because things won't always be this way. My time gonna come. My time gonna come against all conceivable odds. My time gonna come. Thank you. For social activism, I believe the reentry process is the most pivotal part of the criminal justice system. So I advocate for people reentering society to be given more than a $50 in a bus ticket. Advocate for juveniles not to be placed in solitary confinement. That practice was stopped at a federal level, but it still goes on at a state level. I just left what I say just left, but late last year in the fall, traveled to Geneva, Switzerland to talk to the United Nations about solitary confinement, particularly juveniles. And I'll never forget people on the board at the end of my testimony, they couldn't believe that this was occurring in the United States of America. They thought I was talking about a third world country. And the next thing that I advocate for is juveniles who are being tried as adults, and laws that are still on the books, like the one in Florida that says a child of any age can be treated as an adult if he's indicted for a life or death felony. That means you could be 6 years old, 7. There's no age limitation. So to get involved, these kids have something that I didn't have growing up. They have social media. They can get that message to literally millions of people at the drop of a button, at the push of a button. They can get involved that way. So social media, or finding organizations like the Equal Justice Initiative and supporting them. If you don't want to like do it yourself, but like what I mean, do it yourself, like don't have the knowledge or the talent or whatever to promote your activism on social media, get involved with local organizations that already have these things going and support them through donations or volunteering your time. Oh man, that if that was a poetry program, if I was in prison, that thing would have been like a lifeline to me. I think poetry programs, that's another way to like help people. Like going and in California is a lot more lenient from what I've heard with programming for those that are incarcerated. So to have a poetry program that actually goes into prisons and like teaches prisoners or just spends times with them to nurture what they already know is huge. And I'm a huge proponent of of someone or programs like that that actually offer uh, curriculums and teachings to the people that are incarcerated. That little voice that you hear that's compelling you to do something, long as it's something cool, like nothing destructive, but that little voice you hear inside that's urging you to do something, to follow your dreams or enhance your situation, don't quiet it. Don't push it away. I would encourage you to follow that little voice. That little voice has led me so many places, um, even to your school. Like we come from totally different backgrounds, but that little voice has led me to Penguin Random House Speaking Bureau, and it gives me the opportunity to go around the world and speak to people and encourage kids like you who are our generation. So I would encourage you to nurture that inner voice instead of push it away and drown out the naysayers who tells you that it's impossible and it won't happen. Believe in yourself. My belief took me a long way.